Captain Alan Burke stood on the bridge of the Earth Alliance ship Vanguard and watched the stars. The ship moved slowly through the dark space beyond Neptune. It was a normal patrol until the ship's sensors began to beep loudly. "Captain, something big just appeared," said Officer Lisa Green, her eyes wide with surprise. "It's huge and coming straight for us." Burke moved to her station and looked at the screen. A massive ship, at least 20 times larger than the Vanguard, had suddenly appeared from nowhere. Its surface was dark metal with glowing blue lines running across its hull. This was it, humanity's first contact with alien life. Burke's heart raced, but his voice remained calm. "All stations alert. This is not a drill. We are about to make first contact with an alien species." The crew moved quickly, each person knowing what to do after years of training for this moment. Humanity had long prepared for this day, but nothing could truly ready them for the reality of facing beings from another world. "Open communication channels," Burke ordered. He straightened his uniform and cleared his throat. This would be a moment for the history books. "This is Captain Alan Burke of the Earth Alliance ship Vanguard. We welcome you to our solar system and wish to establish peaceful relations." The bridge crew waited in tense silence. 10 seconds passed. 20. 30. No response on any frequency. "Sir?" reported Communications Officer Jack Wilson. Burke was about to try again when the alien ship began to glow with purple light. Before anyone could react, a beam of intense energy shot from the vessel and sliced through the Vanguard's hull, like it was paper. "We're hit! Decks 3 through 7, shouted Security Chief Maya Rodriguez. 37 crew members down, hull breach in multiple sections. Burke grabbed the command console as the ship shook violently. "Return fire, all weapons." But the Vanguard's weapons barely scratched the alien vessel. 3 more purple beams hit the Earthship, destroying its engines and weapon systems. "We can't take another hit," shouted Engineer Pete Collins through the communication system. "One more, and we'll break apart." Before Burke could give another order, a strange light filled the bridge. When it faded, tall figures stood among the crew. They had gray skin that looked almost like metal, with 6 eyes arranged in a circle on their faces. Their bodies were thin but strong, and they wore armor that glowed with the same blue light as their ship. The aliens moved with incredible speed. Within minutes, they had captured the entire crew. Burke fought back but was quickly knocked unconscious by some kind of energy weapon. When he woke up, Burke found himself in a small cell with transparent walls. Beyond them, he could see other cells containing his crew members. They appeared to be on a massive space station filled with different alien species moving about freely. "Captain, you're awake," said Dr. Olivia Reeves from the cell next to his. She was Earth's leading expert on possible alien biology and had been on the Vanguard for scientific research. "I think we're in some kind of holding facility." Before Burke could respond, the wall of his cell disappeared. 2 of the 6-eyed aliens gestured for him to follow. With no choice, he walked with them through long hallways filled with strange technology and even stranger beings. Some looked almost like giant insects, others like walking plants, and some were just shapes of light with no clear physical form. Finally, they entered an enormous round room. At its center was a raised platform where 12 different alien beings sat in a half circle. Each one was completely different from the others. Some were huge, others tiny. Some had multiple limbs, others none at all, but they all looked down at Burke with the same expression that he recognized across species: contempt. "This is the specimen from the new planet?" asked a large, stone-like creature with glowing cracks across its surface. Its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Yes, High Counselor Zix," replied one of Burke's guards. "This is the captain of their vessel." Burke stood straight and looked directly at the aliens. "I am Captain Alan Burke of Earth. You attacked my ship without provocation and killed my crew. I demand to know why." The 12 aliens looked at each other, and then a sound filled the room that Burke realized was laughter. "It speaks as if it has rights," said a small bird-like creature. "How amusing." High Counselor Zix leaned forward. "These creatures are hardly sentient by our standards. Their technology is primitive, their lifespans laughably brief, and their understanding of Universal principles childlike at best. Over the next few days, more survivors from the Vanguard were brought before this Galactic Council for examination. Burke learned that these 12 species had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They saw humans as nothing more than animals, barely worth studying. When Dr. Olivia Reeves was brought before the council, she stood tall despite her fear. Her brown hair was tied back, and her eyes burned with determination. "We may not match your technological advancement," she told them, "but underestimating humanity has been the downfall of every empire in our history." The council members laughed again, the sound echoing through the massive chamber. They didn't see humans as a threat, just as curious specimens to study and eventually forget. What the council didn't notice was Lieutenant Sam Dawson quietly working in his cell. Dawson had a special neural implant that the aliens had missed during their scans. Every night he modified it to connect with the council's computer systems. Bit by bit he gathered information about their technology, their weaknesses, and their plans. "I've got access to their communication network," he whispered to Burke during a brief moment when they were together. "I'm sending everything back to Earth through a hidden quantum channel. Defense Command is getting all of this." Burke nodded slightly. "Keep it up. Don't let them see." While the council thought they were studying humans, humans were studying them right back. The aliens saw people from Earth as simple, weak creatures. They never stopped to think that these primitive beings might be smart enough to fight back. The council's biggest mistake wasn't capturing humans. It was keeping them alive long enough to learn about alien technology and find its weaknesses. Back on Earth, the secret messages from Lieutenant Dawson caused great alarm. World leaders gathered at the United Nations building in New York to hear the terrible news. "Ladies and gentlemen," said Secretary General Victor Mendez, his voice grave, "we have confirmed that our first contact with alien life has gone very badly. The EAS Vanguard was attacked without warning. Many crew members were killed, and the survivors are being held prisoner by something called the Galactic Council." The room filled with shocked voices. On the large screen, images from Dawson's transmissions showed the Alien Council and their advanced technology. General Catherine Ward, head of Earth's combined military forces, stood up next. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and a face that showed years of tough decisions. "These aliens have technology far beyond ours," she said, pointing to the screen where holographic images of the Council's weapons and ships appeared. "They outmatch us in every way we can measure," she explained. "Their energy weapons can turn our strongest metals into vapor. Their shields can stop nuclear bombs. Their ships can travel faster than light, making our fastest rockets look like they're standing still." The room grew quiet as the truth sank in. Humanity seemed helpless against such advanced beings. Then Frank Martinez walked to the front of the room. He was a former NASA engineer with a reputation for solving impossible problems. "But they have 3 big weaknesses," he said with a slight smile. "First, all their technology uses the same type of energy grid. If one part fails, everything can fail. Second, all the council species evolved in similar environments, so they're all weak against similar biological threats. And third, they think they're unbeatable." Over the next few days, world leaders made a decision that had never happened before in human history. Every country would work together. Old enemies became partners. Resources were shared. The entire planet united with one goal: survival. President Laura Keller of the United States addressed the world on television. "Fellow citizens of Earth," she said, her blue eyes serious but hopeful, "we face the greatest challenge in human history. But throughout our past, when humans have been pushed to the edge, we have always found a way to survive and thrive. Today we begin a new chapter in that story." All across the planet, factories changed what they made. Car plants now built parts for weapons. Phone makers created communication devices that could avoid alien detection. Schools changed their lessons to teach children skills that might help fight the aliens. In hidden underground facilities, scientists worked day and night. One of the most important projects was led by Dr. Henry Nichols in a massive complex beneath the Rocky Mountains. "Project Nemesis is simpler than you might think," Nichols explained to President Keller during her visit. He was a thin man with thick glasses and hands that moved constantly while he talked. "The aliens expect us to try to match their technology. But that's not our plan. He showed her a small satellite no bigger than a microwave oven. This is our secret weapon. It's so simple that the aliens can't detect it. Their scanners are designed to find advanced technology, not basic electronics and mechanical triggers. But what does it do? Asked Keller. By itself, not much, Nichols admitted. But we're building thousands of them. Together, they create a network that can disrupt the quantum communication systems the Council uses. We'll make them blind and deaf. Meanwhile, in a separate facility beneath Detroit, a husband and wife team worked on another crucial project. Doctors Paul and Julia Reed were experts in biology and medicine. The Pandora Protocol isn't designed to kill, Julia told the ethics committee that oversaw their work. She was a woman with kind eyes that contrasted with her serious manner. It's a non-lethal agent that will temporarily disable the Council species without harming humans. Paul added, We've studied the biology of the Council races from Lieutenant Dawson's data. They all have similar nervous systems despite looking different. This agent affects those systems, causing temporary paralysis. How temporary? Asked one committee member. About 6 hours, Paul answered. Enough time for us to take control, but not so long that it causes permanent harm. The ethics committee approved their work. Humanity would fight back, but they would not become monsters in the process. All across Earth, regular people did their part too. Farmers grew special crops that could be used for medicines and biological agents. Computer programmers created viruses that could infect alien systems. Children collected electronic parts that scientists could use. In Spain, an old phone factory now made tiny components for the Nemesis satellites. In Kenya, botanical gardens grew plants whose chemicals would help make the Pandora agent. In Brazil, former airplane hangars housed new training facilities where soldiers learned to use reverse-engineered alien technology. 2 years passed. The aliens still thought Earth was helpless, just accepting its fate. They had reduced their ships around Earth by more than half, believing humans were no threat. This mistake would cost them everything. In an underground war room, General Ward and her team put the final touches on their plan. The Council thinks we're primitive, she told her officers. They don't realize that throughout human history, we've always been at our most dangerous when we're fighting for survival. She pointed to a world map showing key locations. We have Nemesis satellites ready to launch from 23 sites around the globe. The Pandora agent has been loaded into delivery systems on every continent. Our new ships, hidden in old mines, underwater caves, and disguised as space junk, are fully crewed and ready. Ward looked at each person in the room. 2 years ago, we were just learning about aliens. Now we're ready to take back our solar system. This isn't about revenge, it's about our right to exist without being treated like animals. President Keller, who had joined the meeting, stood up. I've authorized the launch of Operation Reclamation, she announced. It begins tomorrow at 300 GMT. For 2 years we've been silent, learning and building. Now the Council will learn why it's dangerous to underestimate humans. As the meeting ended, Ward spoke quietly to Martinez. Do you think it will work? Martinez nodded. They expect us to fight like them, with big ships and energy weapons. But we're fighting like humans, adapting, using their weaknesses, and coming at them from angles they can't imagine. That night, across the world, people looked up at the stars. They didn't know what would happen tomorrow. But for the first time in 2 years, they felt something that had almost been forgotten. Hope. At exactly 3 a.m. Greenwich time, Operation Reclamation began. But there were no explosions, no dramatic battle cries, and no obvious signs of attack. Instead, complete silence fell across the solar system as every alien communication device suddenly stopped working. On the Council's main space station orbiting Earth, Admiral Krex of the Jaxian Imperial Guard stared at his control screens in shock. The tall, six-eyed alien had been in countless battles, but he had never seen anything like this. What's happening? He demanded, his voice sharp with fear. Get our systems back online now. The alien technicians worked frantically at their stations, their long fingers moving quickly over control panels. It's impossible, Admiral, one of them said. The quantum network is completely down. We can't connect with any of our ships or bases. Impossible, Krek shouted. Our quantum communication system cannot fail. It's based on the laws of physics themselves. What the Admiral didn't know was that humans had found a way to disrupt the quantum connections that the aliens relied on. The thousands of Nemesis satellites had activated at once, creating a field that prevented quantum particles from staying entangled, the basic principle behind the Council's communication system. The aliens had always believed this was scientifically impossible. They had dismissed humans as too primitive to understand quantum physics at such a deep level. This was their first big mistake. Send messenger ships to all our stations, Krex ordered. We need to. He never finished his sentence. Throughout, the station's small vents in the walls opened silently. Through these vents came an invisible cloud of microscopic particles, the Pandora Protocol. Within seconds, the particles reached the alien's lungs and skin. Admiral Krex felt a strange tingling sensation spread through his body. Then his muscles began to lock up. He tried to call for help, but his mouth wouldn't move. Around him, other aliens were having the same experience. One by one, they froze in place, still conscious but unable to move or speak. Similar scenes played out on every Council ship and base in the solar system. The alien forces were completely paralyzed, caught by surprise by an attack they never saw coming. From hidden locations all across Earth, human ships rose into the sky. They had been built in secret underground facilities, underwater bases, and remote mountain ranges. Some looked like normal Earth spacecraft with a few modifications. Others used designs based on alien technology that Lieutenant Dawson had sent back. Captain Natalie Powell stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Defiance. Unlike the alien vessels with their sleek, advanced look, the Defiance was clearly built by human hands. It had been assembled in an old aircraft factory, using a mixture of Earth technology and reverse-engineered alien parts. All systems operational, reported First Officer Greg Hudson. Weapons and shields at full capacity. Powell nodded. She was a former Navy pilot with short blonde hair and a calm presence that reassured her crew. Remember our mission, she told them. This is a capture operation, not a destruction mission. The Council aliens are incapacitated, not dead. Our job is to secure their ships and stations without casualties on either side. The Defiance led a group of 20 Earth vessels toward the main Council station. Normally, such an approach would have been suicide against the station's powerful weapons. But now those weapons sat unused, their operators frozen by the Pandora Protocol. Powell's team docked with the station and entered in special suits that protected them from any remaining Pandora particles. They moved through the corridors, finding aliens standing or sitting completely still, their eyes following the humans with confusion and fear. Secure the command center, Powell ordered. Engineering team, take control of their systems. Medical team, start checking the aliens' vital signs. Dr. Kyle Freeman, the chief medical officer, scanned Admiral Krex with a device that combined Earth and alien technology. They're all fine, he reported, just temporarily paralyzed. The Pandora Protocol worked exactly as designed. Powell approached Krex and looked him in the eye. Admiral, you can hear me but not speak. Blink once if you understand. The alien blinked slowly. Good. The effect of the Pandora Protocol will wear off in about 6 hours. Until then, we are taking control of your station and all Council assets in our solar system. No harm will come to you or your crew if there is no resistance when you regain movement. Throughout the solar system, human forces took control of alien ships, stations, and bases. The Council's massive flagship, a vessel larger than any human ship ever built, was captured by a team led by Major Kevin Barnes. The humans found over 300 paralyzed alien crew members and the ship's commander, High General Zeth of the Myriad Collective. Flagship secured, Barnes reported over the communication system. You won't believe the technology on this thing. Their weapons could destroy a small moon. Back on Earth, General Ward received reports from all teams. In the underground command center, she watched as screens showed humans taking control across the solar system. Operation status report, she requested. A young officer named Diana Chen replied. All primary targets secured, ma'am. 47. Alien vessels captured intact. 12 space stations under our control. Over 8,000 Council personnel contained. No human casualties reported so far. President Keller, who stood nearby, closed her eyes briefly in relief. No bloodshed, she said, quietly. That's what makes us different from them. Ward nodded. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 of Operation Reclamation involved gathering evidence. Human teams downloaded the aliens' database records, collected samples of their technology, and documented everything they found. This wasn't just about winning a battle. It was about proving something to the galaxy. 6 hours after the operation began, the Pandora Protocol started to wear off. The aliens gradually regained the ability to move and speak. Many expected to be killed or tortured. Instead, they found themselves being treated with basic medical care and given food and water suitable for their species. On the main station, Admiral Krex could finally speak again. He looked at Captain Powell with a mixture of anger and confusion. How? He asked simply. How did primitives like you defeat our forces so completely? Powell smiled slightly. Because you made the mistake that powerful groups always make. You underestimated those you thought were weaker. While you were watching us with contempt, we were studying you and finding your weaknesses. What will you do with us now? Krex asked. Execute us? Torture us for information? Neither, Powell replied. We're going to do something much worse in your eyes. We're going to show you mercy, and then we're going to show the rest of the galaxy who you really are. Krex's 6 eyes widened slightly. What do you mean? We've downloaded your records, Admiral. We know about the other planets you've conquered, the species you've wiped out, the resources you've stolen. And soon, everyone else will know too. For the first time in his long life, Admiral Krex of the mighty Jaxian Imperial Guard felt something new. Shame. 2 weeks after Operation Reclamation, Earth prepared for a historic meeting. The humans had built a special meeting hall in Geneva, Switzerland. It was a simple round building made of glass and wood, with no fancy decorations or grand design. Inside, the room was circular with seats arranged in a perfect circle. All the seats were exactly the same size and height. This was deliberate. No one would sit higher than anyone else. No one would have a better position. Everyone would be equal. President Laura Keller walked slowly around the empty room the night before the meeting. Her security team waited by the door, giving her a moment alone. Do you think they'll understand? Asked General Ward, who had entered, quietly. Keller shook her head. Probably not at first. They've spent thousands of years believing they're superior to everyone else. But they'll learn. The next morning, the meeting hall filled with an extraordinary gathering. The 12 members of the Galactic Council were escorted in, no longer as powerful rulers but as equals. They looked uncomfortable in the simple chairs designed to accommodate their different body shapes. High Counselor Zix, the large, stone-like alien, seemed especially unhappy. His glowing cracks flickered with what humans had learned was a sign of distress. But the council members weren't the only aliens present. Sitting among the humans were representatives from 17 other species from across the galaxy. These were beings from planets that the council had dismissed as primitive, just as they had dismissed Earth. President Keller stood and addressed the assembly. Unlike the grand speeches she usually gave, her words were simple and direct. We did not bring you here to punish you, she said to the council members. We brought you here to show you the truth. She gestured to a human technician who activated a large screen that came down from the ceiling. On it appeared images and records taken directly from the council's own databases. These are your records, Keller continued. They show how your council has deliberately kept other species from developing, how you've taken resources from our worlds without permission, how you've decided which species deserve rights and which don't, based only on technology level. Captain Alan Burke, now recovered from his time as a prisoner, stood next. He looked directly at the council members as he spoke. You attacked my ship without warning or reason, he said. You killed my crew members and took the rest of us prisoner. You called us specimens and treated us like animals. But your own laws, The laws you created say that first contact should always be peaceful. Next came Dr. Olivia Reeves. She had spent months studying the Council's scientific records. Your own founding charter states that advanced civilizations have a duty to help developing ones, she said. Instead, you've been holding other species back. Your scientists have been stealing ideas from primitive worlds and claiming them as your own. You haven't been guardians of the galaxy. You've been its bullies. One by one, representatives from the 17 other species came forward. Each told similar stories of how the Council had interfered with their development, taken their resources, or treated them as less than equal. A plant-like being named Thorol from a world called Viridian spoke in a whispering voice. For 300 years, Council ships have taken rare minerals from our forests. When we asked for payment, they said we were too primitive to understand galactic economics. A small, blue-skinned person from the planet Azorn added, "The Council put a shield around our solar system that prevented us from developing space travel. They said it was to protect us, but really it was to keep us trapped." High Counselor Zix finally spoke up, his voice rumbling. "You cannot understand the complexity of governing a galaxy. Sometimes sacrifices must be made for the greater good." Eric Winters, Earth's new diplomat, stepped forward. He was a young man with dark skin and a calm voice that somehow commanded attention. "That's the problem," he said. "You decided what the greater good was without asking anyone else. You claimed to be enlightened, but your entire civilization was built on keeping others down." Zix's glowing cracks flashed brightly. "How did you defeat us? Your technology was centuries behind ours. Your weapons were primitive. Your ships were laughably simple." Dr. Julia Reed answered, her voice gentle, but firm. "That's the difference between true civilization and just having advanced technology. We could have destroyed you completely once we took control of your ships. We had the power to wipe out your species. But we chose not to." "Why?" asked Zix, genuinely confused. "Because the measure of advancement isn't weapon strength. It's moral strength," Julia replied. "We wanted to show you a better way, not just defeat you." President Keller stood again and presented a new plan to the gathering. It was called the Galactic Union. Unlike the old council, this new organization would include representatives from all species, regardless of their technology level. Power would be shared equally. Resources would be distributed fairly. And no, species would be allowed to interfere with another's development without clear consent. "This is our proposal," said Keller. "Not a demand, but an invitation to build something better together." The old council members looked at each other in disbelief. They had expected punishment, imprisonment, or even execution. Instead, they were being invited to help create a new system, one that was more fair and just than what they had built. The final surprise came when Frank Martinez walked to the center of the room. He activated a small device that projected a complex hologram showing a new type of engine design. "While studying your technology," he explained, "we discovered something your scientists missed. This is a new way to travel faster than light that doesn't require the rare minerals you've been fighting over for centuries. It uses common elements found on almost every planet." He turned to face the council members. "Your scientists missed this because they were focused on making things more powerful, not more accessible. They wanted technology that only the elite could control." Martinez smiled slightly. "With this engine, any species can explore the stars, regardless of their development level. The age of keeping some worlds isolated and calling them primitive is over." As the meeting ended, the former council members watched as humans and representatives from the 17 other species began making plans together. They talked as equals, sharing ideas and listening to each other with respect. "High Counselor," Zix approached President Keller as she was leaving. "I still don't understand," he said. "You had the power to destroy us. Why offer us peace instead?" Keller looked at him with neither anger nor pity. "Because that's humanity's great strength, Counselor. When we're at our best, we don't just imagine a better future. We do the hard work of building it even with those who once called us enemies." Zix was silent for a long moment. Then he asked, "What happens now?" "Now," said Keller, "you have A choice. You can join us in creating something better, or you can cling to your old ways and be left behind. Either way, the galaxy is changing. The question is whether you'll change with it. As Zix walked away, he realized that Earth's revenge wasn't destruction or punishment. It was something far more devastating to the old Council's worldview. It was showing them a better way, one that made their entire system look small and cruel by comparison. And that, truly, had left them speechless.